Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is Saturday, March 27th, 2021, and this is my astrological outlook for the day. Now today, coming off the Mars North Node conjunction of yesterday, which we still have active today, we have another day of a lot of big astrology. However, today is like our in-between day, in between all of the action and forward motion instigated by yesterday's energetics. And so we have like a brief sort of pause in the energetics before the planets move into position for the next big show, which is tomorrow with the full moon in Libra and Aries. The sun is in Aries, the moon is in Libra, and that's on Sunday. And that being said, there's still a lot of activation energy going on today, and it's basically holding the energy in tension in anticipation of all the release and disclosure that will come with this next full moon phase. That's what I wrote this morning when I was trying to describe overall what today's energetic is really like. Okay. So let's start. I'm going to talk about the Sun-Venus again today because we're still holding on to that Sun-Venus conjunction that we had yesterday. And the frequency is now in effect from this energetic because they've both changed degrees and they're both now at 8 Aries. So let's get into the Sabians and coffee. Okay. So the Sun and Venus have now moved to 8 Aries. They were at 7 Aries yesterday. And the Sabian symbol for this degree is a large woman's hat with streamers blown by an east wind. And the Earth at 8 Libra today, a blazing fireplace in a deserted home. So 8 Aries is the octave because really the best and easiest way to think about how astrology really works is to think about it in terms of music. Like, the universe is a symphony of energetics, and each chord, each note is slightly different and creates a different effect on our planets, in our brains, just the way that we're moved by different musical frequencies and tones. That's the same way that the planetary electromagnetic light octaves operate. So each degree is a slightly different sound, a slightly different octave, and it impacts us as humans in a slightly different way. And that's why I like to talk about the Sabian symbols, because they describe with a visual image each of the various different octaves that are being sung by the planets as they move through the symphony of their universal energetic footprints that they leave as they move, change positions, and transit throughout the universe or the solar system. So a large woman's hat with streamers blown by an east wind is the octave that Venus and the Sun are discharging today. Now, this is an interesting degree. There's a lot of ways that you could interpret this degree, but the way that I generally perceive it is this way, okay? A large woman's hat with streamers blown by an east wind. To me, this is about like streams of consciousness, because we're talking about a large woman's hat, and that's the head covering, you know, our mind, our consciousness, our brain, with streamers blown by an east wind. And wind, air, that resonates to ideas and information. So when I think about this degree, I oftentimes think about it in terms of this is about streams of consciousness and being moved by ideas. And in the context of this degree, since it is specific, it says it's an east wind. When this energetic is being discharged, sometimes I feel like that's about things coming from the east. So a lot of times, just because of the specific reference to the east with this degree, I think about sometimes, you know, Eastern teachings, philosophies, and just what's going on in the Eastern regions of the world generally. So when I was writing about this degree this morning, I wrote, this is about streams of consciousness and being moved by ideas, wind, that may relate to Eastern teachings and philosophies. Now, also potential for types of like hypnosis and mind control because of the consciousness aspect and the streams of consciousness being blown in from a certain direction. Potential for hypnosis, mind control, and consciousness or ideas being subliminally or secretly controlled by Eastern influences. And I say this specifically in regards to today and just what's going on, because with Mercury conjunct Neptune and then Mars conjunct the North Node, there's a lot of action being taken to right now to on like the lower actives that are playing out, a lot of action being taken right now to like hide, delude, confuse, brainwash, and mind control. And this could be coming from an Eastern orientation. Like this could be being pursued by things coming from the East. And obviously, you know, this makes me think of like China and Russia, and there's a lot of, you know, North Korea, like there's a lot of Eastern countries and leaders that have been prominent in the news lately. And there's a lot of, you know, fear right now about China's role in our country and their increasing grip of power and influence in the West. So I'm just saying, like, something to know and to keep your eye on. It's possible, and just to be aware of, this energetic today is signifying Eastern influence of our consciousness somehow being blown in. But like I said, on the higher octave of things, it also could be about the amazing teachings and philosophies and spiritual ideals. It is Neptune again, conjunct Mercury. So, you know, it really can go either way. With Neptune, there's always a big risk of secrets, fantasy, illusion, delusion, like evading the truth, hiding things. That's always potential for a theme with Neptune. But on the other hand, the other theme with Neptune is the most highest form of divine connection and divine truth and divine understanding. So merging with source to the fullest extent of true divine connection and wisdom, or complete retreat into fantasy for the purpose of evading that genuine connection. So we have an interesting like interplay going on today with those degrees in effect. And remember though, Venus is still conjunct the sun. So we still are having like this amazing love, goodness, beauty, art, wealth, comfort, luxury, really good spending opportunity, infusion of energy into all that's happening right now. And that's a really good thing that is helping us keep the peace and the beauty and the kind of like general feelings of comfort as we move through this next couple days into the full moon with everything that's been going on. Okay, so next, let's see, I took a lot of notes this morning. Okay, we have the moon moving, the moon is moving through Virgo, and that means that it's opposing Pisces and Neptune and the planets in Pisces. So, this can go either way also. We have in the moon, it's our feelings, it's our emotions, and it's a Neptune. Mercury is closely moving into conjunction with Neptune. And Mercury is the messenger, ideas, thoughts, information, communication. And Neptune, like I just said, is the highest octave for spiritual connection, but also has a lot to do with fantasy and illusion and mind control and propaganda and influencing, using spiritual beliefs and teachings that are corrupted in order to control that. So this can really go either way. We're going to have the moon opposing it. So there's a really strong possibility for simultaneously over this next couple days and now secrets exposed, but also like mass cover-ups and mass propaganda campaigns that are being run to try to keep the people from seeing the exposing of the things that are coming out and that are happening. Now, we have to talk about the degree of Mercury today because, again, it's very important because of the ongoing conjunction that we will have through the rest of today into this evening when Mars will change. The ongoing conjunction of Mars and the North Node. This is a lot of energy, passion, like insistence, willpower put towards moving ourselves forward towards our destiny, our soul's path, and simultaneously leaving behind the karmic patterns that no longer suit us and that we no longer need moving forward. But 18 Pisces, this is the degree of Mercury today, and this degree again has a theme of just distraction and the potential of like sort of like hypnosis, but also looked at another way, it's the big show. So 18 Pisces, this degree is in a gigantic tent. Villagers witness a spectacular performance. So there's a big show going on. Is it the big show of the secrets revealed and the information coming out and us finally getting the truth about what's gone on in our country and in our world? Or is it a big show to delude from those truths and to continue to perpetuate the cover-ups of the more underhanded tactics that have been utilized recently, and also a lot of the secrets and the things, the information that has been withheld from us? This might also be in relation to the big sickness that everyone just experienced. Well, not everyone, but that the country was really afraid of, or the world actually, and a lot that's gone on in terms of that. We might find out some information about that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what comes with this full moon, but we're lining up for it. And with the moon opposite Mercury and Neptune, that's like just being highly emotionally impacted by either the delusion or the supreme truth. Like, it's having an emotional effect. It's an opposition. We're feeling it. There's a push and pull there. There's, a reflection, and we're really getting the opportunity to reflect on this information, or the moon is preparing us to be able to reflect on it as we move towards the full moon in tomorrow. So, I wrote 18 Pisces. There is a big grand show and display to distract attention. Illusion, delusion are strong attempts to manipulate and cloud truth with this energetic. Some will witness the performance and see it clearly for what it is, and some will only see what the authors want them to see. It can go either way. It's like but it depends on all of us as individuals and just where we're at. If we're still living in the paradigm where other people tell us what's going on and we just accept that as fact and go with it and use that as our story and our narrative, or if we've learned to be skeptical about the thought leaders and the experts, and if we've learned to turn inward and see if the things that these people are saying even make sense to us on a common sense level, let alone resonate to what we know is our divine truth. So it really just depends where we're at. And, you know, with the degree of the Sun and Venus yesterday, a man successfully expressing himself in 2 realms at once, that's really talking about it. And today we have the streamers being blown by the east winds. That's like the thoughts and the ideas coming in. So we'll see, you know, but just something to realize as you go about and interact with your life and with, you know, people in your environment and stuff like that. Like, and people are, you know, talking about different things and going through different emotions and stuff like that. Just realize that we're being emotionally impacted by this with the moon today. And cognitive dissonance, again, cognitive dissonance is when you have such a strongly ingrained belief system that someone could literally, like, if you believe that the sky is blue, okay, because the sky in all of our lives has always been blue, but then one day you wake up and you walk outside and the sky's suddenly fluorescent green. There's a portion of the people in the world that will still, even though they're seeing it with their own 2 eyes and it's literally undeniable, they still won't be able to accept that the sky is green, because in their paradigm, in their world, and we don't understand as humans, that's one of the things that has been hidden from us that will become a lot more relevant and that we'll figure out a lot more in the coming years as we go through this, is we don't understand, we've not been taught as humans for the most part how important and how powerful our thoughts truly are. Our thoughts really, really, really do create our reality and the world that we experience around us. And when we don't understand that, and when we hold these thoughts and beliefs, like someone every single day their sky has been blue of their life, so even though the sky might genuinely be green, they're still going to see it as a blue sky because that's what they think is true, and there is no way you're budging that. That's what they think is true. And so in their world, that sky, damn it, it is blue, even though everyone else, well, not everyone else, but even though it's green and people are noticing it's green and some people are like, oh my God, the sky's green, they still can't see it that way. And that's just a very, very like elementary example describing how cognitive dissonance works, but it's a real thing. And that's something that a lot of people are struggling with and are going to be struggling with. And it's just something to study up on, to keep in mind, so that you don't think that you're losing your mind, because it can really be like psychological gymnastics dealing with people experiencing cognitive dissonance, because they will straight up make you think that you're the crazy one. And we just need to understand what's going on with that so that we know how to interact with these types of scenarios that I'm sure we'll all be encountering more and more as paradigms shift and people are forced into scenarios that they are just not comfortable facing. All right, so that's what I have to say about the moon today. Next, Saturn has changed degrees, y'all. Saturn moves slow, so when it changes degrees, it's a pretty big deal. Saturn stays at a degree for a few weeks, the past few weeks, and Saturn is the teacher. Saturn is like the disciplinarian, like the really harsh schoolmaster who, you know, is very strict and very hard on you about learning your lessons. But because of the strictness and the just amount that Saturn puts pressure and demands perfection, what it produces ultimately is like really, really, really great, really good, very good learning quality development. So we should try to follow Saturn's directions. And Saturn for the past few weeks has been at 12 Aquarius, or 11 Aquarius, discharging. In a quiet moment, a man receives a divine inspiration that may change his life. So we've all been being asked over this past couple weeks up until yesterday when Mercury was at a very similar degree. That is the big lesson and the big what we all need to be working on right now because of its placement yesterday. We need to be searching for quietude, turning inwards, and opening to messages of all types, and then following that guidance as we pursue our path forward. Sorry. But today Saturn moves to a new degree, and that degree is 12 Aquarius, people on a staircase graduated upwards. So now we're actively evolving up to the next literal step. I wrote, collectively, we are being asked now to rise up to the next level, elevate ourselves through our own intentional steps towards, through our own intentional steps upwards. We are rising in consciousness, and we are being asked now to actively participate in physically stepping up. We're taking the next step upward. We're going to the next higher level. And that is what Saturn wants us to do. We should have, since the new moon, with all of the various energetics in effect, we should have received some type of direction, some type of guidance. We should have some type of soul urge or knowing at this point about what we need to do, what we need to reconnect within ourselves, something that has re-sparked our interest about something, or that we've remembered about ourselves from, childhood, that we can retune into to help us. So we've really, that's what we've been working on. And that is still what we need to be working on throughout the course of the rest of this Pisces cycle. But now we're being asked to actively step up, to actively start acting on it, to take the first steps upward. It's pretty clear, and that is relevant today, and especially for right before the full moon tomorrow. Saturn changes degrees. Now's the time to step up to whatever challenges and take the risks we need to take to execute on the inspirations we've received since the new moon. Moving on. Number 4. Freaking Vulcan, dude. I don't know. Vulcan is retrograding now. And Vulcan is at 9 Aries today. You know what? Who else is at 9 Aries? Chiron is at 9 Aries. Watch money. And you know what else is interesting about 9 Aries? It's right next to 8 Aries. And do you know what is at 8 Aries? Oh, it's the Sun and Venus ongoing conjunction. So we have the Sun, Venus, Vulcan, and Chiron all right there, right, setting us up for the full moon tomorrow. Vulcan makes things erupt. Vulcan adds tremendous amounts of internal pressure and force and power to just blow things out of the water. And with Chiron, that's also, though, Chiron rules trauma and wounding, especially from childhood. So this is and with Venus and the Sun and Vulcan conjuncting Chiron, aside from the whole money aspect of things, which is a big deal, definitely that's what I mainly wanted to say about this is like I've been saying, watch money, huge financial money, big payoffs possibly, but I'll get back to that in a minute. This just popped into my head and I want to make sure that I say it. With Venus, which is love, beauty, peace, healing, the Sun, which is the life force of it all, and Vulcan, which pulverizes things and demolishes them and blows them to smithereens and erupts with insane amounts of force. And with Chiron, that's wounding, and that's trauma, and that's especially, like I said, childhood wounding that creates traumatic patterns throughout our lives that we need to overcome in order to truly master ourselves. That and right before the full moon in the Pisces cycle, where that's our final push to release all of our trauma and all of our karma and everything that has hindered us up until this point and kept us from being able to truly cultivate our potential, like I say all the time, that can just be blown away. Like, this is an amazing opportunity today to, for whatever reason, like it can just be something that happens in your mind. There doesn't even have to be any necessarily like catalyst, especially because of all the Mercury stuff that's going on with Mars in the North Node. Like, this whole configuration also sets us up to be able to completely release any type of trauma, wounding, and for the third time, childhood issues that have been keeping us enslaved to self-sabotaging patterns. And I mean, trauma produces negative subconscious programming that actually attracts more trauma. It's just, when you're holding trauma inside of you, it doesn't matter what it is. It creates resentment, betrayal, abandonment, hurt, dislike, just negative emotions generally. And it doesn't matter what happened to you. It doesn't matter why you have those. It doesn't matter how justified you are in feeling that way. Just simply retaining that feeling inside of you creates more of those experiences in your life. And I know that from a lifetime of personal experience. I am not just saying this off the cuff as some like hairy-fairy metaphysician, law of attraction, new age, whatever. Like, that's not me. That's not my style. That's not how I roll. I'm not about that. But I do know that it is a fact of this reality. If you hold trauma inside of you, regardless of the reason, you will only attract more scenarios that create those same feelings. What we need to do to move forward into second renaissance, and that is what all of this has been about, especially ending Pisces age, ending Pisces cycle, ending all of this Neptune, Piscean, self-sacrificial, looking for external sources of power energy that we've been in for this whole like epoch of time. It's created serious generational trauma, which a lot of times is actually what's responsible for the scenarios that we attract into our lives. So with these planets conjunct Chiron, which is the planet that rules trauma, especially childhood trauma, which is usually where it starts, with everything at the North Node, the South Node, everything the universe is asking us to do, taking a step forward, Vulcan can pulverize the remnants of that trauma we're still holding on to, the rest of it that we haven't been able to release. And Venus and the Sun can come in and fill our cells that used to be holding the trauma with peace and light and love. And that's truly actually the answer. That's how you do it. That's how you escape from the karmic loop, is you learn to no longer hold on to that trauma for any reason, and to forgive everyone who you felt, who's created those feelings in this life ever, and to bless them and to love them and to accept them as necessary on your path for whatever reason, and to understand that you're now operating under God's divine grace and with forgiveness and the infusion of that light and that love and that just pure divine energy into your cells. That's what you become, and that's what you attract, and that's how you create, and that is how the new world comes and arrives in such a more beautiful and peaceful and organic and natural and meaningful way, as we can get our trauma out of the way, get the ego attached to the trauma out of the way, reconnect with the true nature of our individual souls, and bring out our own unique gifts and talents, Aquarius, and figure out how we can contribute them to the whole Aquarius to build a world based on human talent and potential and contribution, as opposed to based on a small amount of humans controlling the entire population of other humans for their own gain. That's the transition that we're going through. So watch money today. The degree 9 Aries, that's a crystal gazer. So following hunches and intuitions can pay off big while this is in effect. If you get a hunch to go buy a lottery ticket out of nowhere, or you get like something, you know, or you just feel like you should buy something, maybe it will benefit you in somehow in a big way in the future. Huge opportunity for financial gains right now with Vulcan, Sun, Venus, Chiron, all like this. And again, an even huger opportunity, you know, if Chiron rules wealth, but it also rules the gold of our soul and alchemy. You know, that's really about transforming lead into gold, but what it really means in the Hermetic, according to the true teachings, that's in reference to our soul. That's in reference from turning our like lower ego mind into the gold of the soul's true purpose and escaping the enslavement of the matrix, basically, and figuring out how to become a self-propelling, self-fulfilling, self-sustaining system that contributes and receives. That's what we're building, and that's how we're building. So I really love this, setting up for the full moon. Overall, we have a lot of energetics in effect today, even more tomorrow with the full moon. Prepare your psyche, because the mind control is strong right now, but so is the ability to perceive real divine truth. Look inward and not, Look inward and not outward to find answers, and trust your intuition. Sorry. I had to pause for a minute and then I wasn't sure if I restarted it or not. And trust your intuition. With the full moon cycle tomorrow will come a lot of disclosure about corruption in government specifically and financial markets. And there will be a lot of effort to cover up, suppress, and deny these truths. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Remember, our job now is to be unmoved by distractions and focus on turning inward for guidance and solutions to our problems, and to follow our intuition and cultivate our personal gifts and potentials to build forth the new world, because that's how it's happening, as I keep saying. We don't need to be caught up in ideological battles and verbal information delusions made with the intent of controlling and harnessing human potential for something other than organic, authentic purposes desired by universe at this time. So that's what I got for today. It's another big day. Sorry for the long video. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the full moon. Thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like this